I hope that as I talk about microbes tonight, which is off the beaten track for these lectures, you leave here with a slightly different understanding, perhaps, of this saying. I think we're all... That is, yes, wherever you go, there you are, but when you get there, you're going to have some friends with you. On the order of 100 trillion friends. Now, naturally, when we think about human beings, it's logical that we would think about us and the cells that make us up. No surprise there. They're actually on the order of 10 to the 13th human cells. But in addition to those 10 to the 13th human cells, as you sit in your seats listening to this lecture tonight, along with you listening are 10 times more bacteria than there are human cells. How can this be? Well, bacteria are small, for one thing. They pack rather tidily, but they're everywhere. If you look at an average small piece of skin, you're likely to find on the order of 1 million bacteria in a square centimeter of skin. If you go into the gut, into the colon, for instance, in a cubic centimeter of the intestinal contents, you'll find up to 5 trillion bacteria. So these are huge, huge numbers. There's another, I think, even more staggering component here, which it isn't just that there are a lot of cells there, but if you actually count up the human genes in our body and compare that to the number of different bacterial genes that are present, we're not outnumbered by a factor of 10, but by a factor of 100. There are 100 times more bacterial genes listening to this lecture than there are human genes in each and every seat in the auditorium. Now, how do we think about that kind of diversity? Well, if you remember the tree of life, you'll know that not all organisms are the same. In fact, if we think about the human genome, the human, and the organisms there are many, many varieties there. In the mouth, there are thought to be as many as 400 different species of bacteria present. In the gut, on the order of 500 or 600 different species. So how do we think about these species? How do we think about biological diversity? Well, again, the tree of life. We live in a part of the tree of life referred to as the eukaryotes. To orient you, there you are. If you're used to going to a zoo and being astonished by all the biological diversity among the zebras and the turtles and the reptiles and the plants, you're looking at about this much of the eukaryotic tree. There are other two major domains in the tree of life, however. The archaea and the bacteria. So I didn't do this necessarily to make us feel puny, but in terms of the diversity, these other two domains, the archaea and the bacteria, are made up entirely of unicellular, non-nucleated organisms. And there are a lot of them, and they do an astonishing number of things, and we know about very few of them. But I want to talk about the ones that live on and in us. Megan already defined the microbiome for us, so I can fly right past that. And instead, talk about the fact that these microbes that are sitting in the seat with you tonight are not simply passive passengers like they might have taken the T to come here tonight or riding a cross-town bus. They're actually intimately linked and influence our health and nutrition.